So a little while after my wife and I first started going out, I was looking for a low-key date. So we decided to go apple picking. Which basically means that you show up at this orchard in some grubby clothes and you pay some money, pick a few apples, and you get the privilege of some manual labor. So it was the end of an ordinary day in early fall, and we showed up at this place in our grubby clothes and took out our bag, and before long we were filling it and already starting to plan, the things we were gonna make. Crumbles and pies and candied apples. And I suppose that anyone who was there, who was watching this from the outside, would have found the whole thing pretty ordinary. But that's not how I remember it. I remember time stretching out. I remember the blues being bluer and the oranges and pinks being somehow more orange and pink than usual. And it was like me and my old t-shirt and my bag heavy with apples and this run-of-the-mill sunset were all caught up into another world just for a few moments, simply because of who I was with. So have you ever had that happen? You're fumbling your way through something relatively commonplace, but because you're in the company of that person, or those people, the ordinary thing becomes something you hadn't counted on, something almost unrecognizable, almost like you catch a glimpse of a different world, something lying just out of the range of ordinary sight. Maybe you're with a group of friends or some co-workers or some people from church, and just for a moment, kindness trumps selfishness, or the things that pull us together actually win out over the things that pull us apart. You start to begin to maybe believe that we're not alone. And right in the middle of the ordinary, you catch a glimpse of something extraordinary. So picture an ordinary loaf of bread, or better yet, a communion wafer. One of those little flat discs that some churches use for communion. And the thing is basically wheat and water, and it tastes like cardboard. There is nothing special about that. What could be more ordinary than that? But when Jesus breaks bread with his disciples, something different happens. Somehow that very same plain, ordinary bread, Jesus says it's his body, broken, given for us. Like suddenly bread isn't just bread anymore. In the company of Jesus, our daily bread becomes the bread of heaven. And our tangible and physical eating of the bread becomes this moment of connection with Jesus. He and us, and we and him. They say that some people used to call Jesus a drunkard and a glutton because you could always count on finding him at the dinner table. Can't you still? Isn't he still at the table, inviting us into this meal that's so obviously ordinary and at the same time a window into a different world? So what if this isn't just a nice but irrelevant ritual, one more odd thing that churchy people do on a Sunday? What if in some way it's a clue to the whole of life, to the very heart and center of this Jesus thing? And what if the most important thing about me and about you is that we're invited? Could it really be that God is inviting us to a new way of experiencing the world, others, and ourselves? Inviting us to find ourselves at the table with Jesus, taking part in a new reality that's breaking into the ordinary stuff of life in the here and now. Because that could be worth waking up to. That could be worth sharing. What would it be like to find the extraordinary tucked inside the ordinary all over again?